All right, we are live and just alive over here in from Perth, and I've got a very special guest. Before I do, just welcome everyone again. Got to thank everyone who watches this show every Saturday morning. Blue Abroad World is designed to bring Carlton supporters from all over Australia and the world together. We're trying to create a huge network here, and it is growing legs fast. So thank you all, and if you do get a chance, jump on and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Blue Abroad. Means a lot to Terry, and he does a fantastic job and puts a lot of his own hard time and hours of his own in his spare time to make that work and make these shows great. Now, back to what I was talking about before, our special guest. We have got as co-host today the one and only Adam Shaw from Arizona, from Tucson, Arizona. Adam, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of Carlton, the Blue Barn show, and I'm ready to get cracking on with this.
Yeah, now, Adam, we've seen you pop up on fan cams and stuff like that, so you've obviously been following Blue Abroad for a while, and I was very keen to reach out to you. So just explain to all the viewers, all the Carlton supporters out there, how you got into AFL, how long you've been into the AFL and following Carlton, and why you chose Carlton, and what that all means to you now.
Well, to begin, I'm a young guy. I'm 21, actually. About 5 years ago, I was starting to get into sports outside of the U.S.
So I'm going to cut you off there, Adam. One thing we don't do here is remind me how young you are, okay? I don't need to know that, all right? I'm an old fart. Go on. I'm just being a dickhead. That's what I do.
Don't blame me there. It's all part of the banter, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
But to continue, about 5 years ago, when I was still a young man, I was starting to get into sports that were, not considered American. And, through, my own research, I would find pictures of what rugby looks like. And eventually I saw something and said, that's not rugby, and I looked it up more, trying to find out, and I see Aussie rules football. And that's basically, the start of, the opening of a rabbit hole, really, of just Australian football and what it is, and, the teams and everything. And it just blew my mind.
Yeah. So what things really popped out at you when you first saw our game? Was it the high marking, the skills, kicking around the corners and goals, or the physicality of it? What really popped out to you?
It just, at a first look to the untrained eye, it just looks like chaos, and I was just like, what the hell? Does this game have rules? Does it have, are there tactics? Are there, what's the goal of this? Is it just to harm the other person, or do you score points? What's going on here, And through my research, once I became more familiar with it, it starts making sense, and the game kind of slows down in the sense that I can understand what's going on, and it just doesn't look that crazy as it used to.
One of the bits of feedback I remember from when I was a kid, from 30 years plus ago, whatever, that you would get from people from the US watching Australian rules for the first time. And let's just say go back to the 80s, where it was pretty rough and tumble, wild west stuff at times. And yeah, very physical, very rough, a little bit dirty, all of that stuff. Is they were just amazed that we played a style of game like that without any padding, without any protection. That it was the lack of protection coupled with the style of game that we played that really blew their minds. Is that something that sort of popped out of you as well?
Oh, yeah. It was just this weird blend of finesse with physicality. And I was just like, I got to watch more of this.
Yeah. So when you're over there watching the games, you watch? Do you have to watch it live on stream, or do they have it on the Ocho? What sort of methods do you use to watch your games?
So for me personally, I have something called the Watch AFL app. It's an app that you pay for. Basically they'll have pretty much every game of the season on there, pretty much every round, and you can watch it anytime you want to. They do live games, and it's great. I watch the games live, and that's how I'm able to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We've got a question here from Dane Mill. Good morning, Dane. And his question is, Adam, how would you feel if the AFL players wore all the head protection gear like those softies in the NFL? Great question.
It's a great. Aussie rules wouldn't be the same. Here's the thing about the pads: it makes them more dangerous because I played American football. When I put on those pads, when I put on the helmet, I feel invincible. It's a mirage, really.
Yeah. And I for as long as I can remember, watching because I was a fan. I when I was a kid, I started following the Washington Redskins. Back in the day, where there was, it was okay to be in the crowd and have a big Indian headpiece on and go hoo-ya, hoo-ya, hoo-ya. So when you're a kid watching that sort of thing on TV and the color and all of that, it was a spectacle. And I just fell in love with the cartoon character nature of the fans and everything of the Washington Redskins. So I started watching a little bit. But what really blew my mind a little bit about that was the injuries, man. They were the fast pace with the protection. And even back then, we were only sort of catching up to professional sports technology, really, and sports science here in Australia. So that was already there back then. And, they're going 100 miles an hour into each other, tackling 360s in the air, snapping their legs. What Australians used to like to watch about the NFL were the injury highlights packages. that was what really stood out for us, I suppose. It was just something unique and unusual.
Oh yeah, those injuries are different for sure. I can remember a few.
Yeah. So our special guest Kenny, he hasn't popped up yet. I better make sure he's awake. I'll send him another text. I'll see if he's just replied to my other one. What I might do while I'm doing that is I'll bring in the Bangkok Bandit, the man himself, Joe Lazar from Bangkok, and you guys can have a bit of a chat, and I'll try and get Kenny. Have a chat about how you feel Sunday's going to go with the team, and I'll be back in just a tick, mate.
Alrighty.
Morning, all. Hey, Adam. Again, we're chatting backstage. So tell me, Adam, what do you think? Are we a chance on the weekend against the Eagles? Do you know much about what's happening?
Well, I think with all the outs that they have, and some of the ins that we have, the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there. It's just about taking those opportunities and, making the most of them, really. What do you think?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I mean, we have to rely on a team to have injuries that we can talk about winning. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport we play anywhere in the world, whether it's NFL or NBA or AFL or EPL, good acronyms. It's all about a winning culture, and I just, I just don't think that we have that winning culture at the moment. Even the supporters. I mean, just before we were talking, I got onto our Facebook pages, and people are saying, all the players that we've picked up in these drafts are duds, and I mean, I don't know whether they've been developed or, I mean. NFL, the players would get scrutinised a lot more than they do in the AFL, wouldn't they?
Are you talking? Did you say NFL?
Yeah, the NFL. I mean, the scrutiny of the players would be horrendous in America, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty horrendous, and I don't think social media helps that. You have many players coming out saying, "Oh, that's all the issues, the racism and stuff like that. It's a big
Yeah.
issue in the NFL. I'm sure it is in the AFL with with all the indigenous players and some of the African players that have come over the years.
Yeah, but especially for the young guys I guess the NFL's a little bit different because the guys have had 4 years in college first, haven't they? Where they sort of get used to the TV and the scrutiny and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a point there, but they're more. I don't know how to put it. They're more. You've seen what you've seen what they can do, and if your player and if a team takes a chance on you, you got to perform.
Yeah.
They know what you have, and if you don't perform, then people are going to know you as a bust.
Yeah. And so for Sunday's game, what time is it in America where the game will be on? I think I'm not sure what time it is. Just let me check. I've got to check what time it is in Bangkok.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sunday afternoon?
It'll be about Saturday. It'll be Saturday night for me. It'll be about 10:20 at night for me.
Yeah, it's 12:20 on a Sunday, so it'll be 9:20 in the morning. How will you watch it on Saturday night?
So, like I said earlier, a lot of Americans and most of the international community that I know, they use the Watch AFL app. It's you pay. Do you have it?
No,
Yeah,
I subscribe through. Well, I'm lucky because we get Australian TV here in Bangkok. It's called ABC, which is our national broadcaster. But as I've said to some of the guys, sometimes when Carlton aren't on, a friend of mine who may be watching the show, Ernest, how are you, Ernest? He lets me use his KO account. So I just log in and watch it. But no, we're quite lucky here. Even though there's probably not a big, I suppose there is a big expat community here, but we get all the ABC TV. So you said you've been following us why did you follow Carlton? Why the Blues?
They remind me a lot of just it's a club with a lot of history and a club with a lot of potential, and I started associating myself with the fan base about a year and a half ago. I'd go onto these Facebook groups and just watch what the fans had to say, and it felt kind of, I wouldn't say it is kind of a family now that I'm in it, really.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, I want to be a part of this. If it hurts me, it hurts me.
It's been hurting the last few years. You've probably come in at the wrong time. So I'm going to take it you've never seen an AFL game live?
I've never been to one in person, no.
And is that the dream?
Yes, eventually.
Maybe they can make your dream come true and your first game can see us in an AFL grand final.
Oh, yeah. If we get to a grand final anytime soon, I will do whatever I can to be in Melbourne. If it financially bankrupts me, I will still be there.
So Adam, you're saying you're 21. What do you do with yourself? Are you at college or do you work, or what's the Adam story for all our listeners out there?
So I'm currently trying to be a semi-truck driver here in the U.S.
Okay.
Working towards getting my commercial driver's license, and it's a bit of a pain at the moment because I just a couple internal issues with the school and stuff like that. But that's the story of Adam right now, and that's what I'm trying to look forward to.
And COVID in Tucson, how is it?
Well, the state of Arizona was one of the worst places for COVID pretty much in the world around this time last year. And fortunately, I did not get it, and I've already had my shot. So it's not a super big concern for me. But yeah, it's still a big problem here. We still have the mask mandates.
Yeah, yes. Our friends in Melbourne are in lockdown as we speak. And so are we here in Bangkok. So we've had big outbreaks here in Bangkok, mainly in the prisons of all places.
I didn't hear what you just said.
I was saying that our friends in Melbourne are in lockdown at the moment. Isn't that right, John?
That's correct. Not over here in Perth, though, Joe. Everything's just
No.
like normal over here. It's a wonderful world in Perth.
We're in lockdown.
I'm sorry to hear about all your
Hello?
miserable lockdowns, but I'm just going to go for a walk in a minute and get an ice cream from the street corner or something. Hey, Joe, I'm going to say goodbye to you just for a tick. I've got the man himself,
Good.
Vince Lochisano, waiting. So I'm going to bring him in a little bit early because I don't know why. I've texted Kenny with the link again this morning, tried calling him. I'm having no luck. I don't know where he is. And same with the buzz. So I'm going to bring in Vince. Thanks for your time, Joe. Hang in there, mate. We'll get you back on the tick.
No worries. I'll sit in the background. See you guys.
Wicked, mate. Thank you. All right. Now, here he is, the man himself, the Prince of Princes Park, the one, the only, Mr. Vince Lochisano. Vincenzo, good morning, and how are you?
Yes, just doing it tough down here in Victoria with our lockdown. Our wonderful state government's managed to fuck it up again. But, don't get me started on them because I'll be going for quite a lot longer than what
we will not talk about the state government of Victoria because I've got a feeling you just might be a little bit fired up about a few other things related to Carlton and football anyway, so we'll stick with that because that's going to take up enough time. What I will do, though, that's a nice little segue into what a wonderful announcement it was, heartwarming yesterday, the announcement of the Great Southern Bank as our new co-major sponsor. Did that not warm the cockles of your heart, Vince Lochisano?
Yes, well, we were warned by the club that there was a big 24 hours earlier, and we were wondering whether it was a contract signed by Patrick Cripps finally, or whether it was something else to do with the team. But no, joint major sponsor, the Great Southern Bank. And I'm not sure whether they're sponsoring the Great Southern Stand over at the MCG or whether they're sponsoring the Great Southern Club down here in Melbourne, Victoria, called Carlton. But it looks like it's the last one, mate.
Is that the Carlton Football Club or the Carlton Business Club?
No, well, it's I think that used to be CUA. I think it was the Credit Union Australia they used to be called. And so now they're coming on board and sponsoring the club, which is great. We always need sponsors. So I suppose that's
it is. It is. And there's been
of my heart, Jonathan. It was just
now, Vince, I've got to introduce you to my co-host today, Adam Shaw, all the way from Tucson, Arizona. It's really fantastic to have him on here. Adam, I don't know if you've seen Vince on these shows or not in the past, but if you want to know anything Carlton, there are two people. One is Vince Lochisano. The other one's a guy called Tony DeBolfo. We'll probably try and get him on another time. But Vince has had a long relationship, integrally involved with raising funds through the main coterie group at Carlton over the years. Has seen many a grand final of Carlton. He's one of those lucky men. He's had to put up with the misery of the last 20 years, but he's enjoyed the success of the 93 years before that. He's a very old man, Vince. So so I'll let you guys have a little bit of a chat. I've got someone else in the waiting room as well. One of our other new international correspondents all the way from Singapore. Which is really nice for me because it's the same time zone as Perth. Look, Adam, here's your opportunity to ask someone anything about the history of Carlton. And we went over a few things yesterday, but have a chat with Vince for a tick, mate.
Alrighty. How's it going, Vince?
Adam, you're in Tucson. You're the Tucson tank. Is that you?
That's what they've named me anyway.
I have actually been to Tucson, Arizona. It's a beautiful place. Very hot in summer, apparently.
Oh, yeah. It hit 39 degrees centigrade today, so it was very hot today.
I'd love to have a little bit of that right now because it's about 6 degrees in Melbourne.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so, Vince, you have a knowledge of the inside of the club, and so... Were you a part of the club? Were you
Ask me, I'm like the walking encyclopedia of Princes Park.
So, what do you think is the biggest problem with the football club right now? Is it because we're more business oriented, or is it something else?
How long have you got, Adam? I'll try and keep it short.
I've got all day. It's 5 in the afternoon right now. I can go for a few hours.
Look. I'm one of those people that looks beyond the micro level of, you know, who's in the team and who's coaching and what are the problems with the side at the moment. I tend to look at the macro level of things and see whether that's the way it should be before I start looking at the intricate details of who's in the team and where they're playing and all that sort of thing. And I honestly think that there's a disconnect between what's happening at the Carlton boardroom and what's happening on the field with the team and also with the fans and the members. I think it has turned into the Carlton Business Club. It's by nature. I think the AFL's been going in this direction. It's not just Carlton. There's probably quite a few other clubs. We see what's happening with Collingwood at the moment. And they're also saying that there's this disconnect between the board and the members. And I think Carlton's in exactly the same boat. So, you know, the board would probably, beat its chest about some of its off-field achievements, and that's all well and good, with the Icon Park redevelopment or the alleged payment of $6.5 million debt in a COVID year. So if you believe that, you're better than me. Or whether whether we've improved our membership from 54,000 members 3 years ago by 50% to 80,000 members today, which again, on the back of 3 failed years, I find difficult to swallow that. But apparently that's what we're at, 80,000 members. Maybe that's because we've given away some memberships on the back of a cornflakes packet. But I think when the board's only got its off-field achievements to brag about, that's when you know that the on-field is in a pretty bad way. We were told about 6 years ago that we needed to go through this rebuild in order to achieve sustained success. And all we've seen since is sustained mediocrity and abject failure. And look, I know I'm strong in my opinions here, but I'm sick and tired, and I know a lot of other Carlton fans and supporters are sick and tired of seeing us floundering down the ladder.
Well, Vince, I'm going to be very rude here, Vince. I'm going to be really rude and cut you off. We've only got about halfway through the hard word there. So you've cut the blue pill in half.
I'll just finish 10 seconds. I'll just finish 10 more seconds. So, Adam, in a nutshell, I think this board's had its go for 6 or 7 years, and even though they want to just keep passing the baton down to the next mate that's in the boys' club on that board, I think they should all resign and say we got it wrong, we stuffed it up. And it's about time that the members get to decide who they want to be on the board.
Well said, mate. That's about half the hard word. Take the other half of the blue pill, mate. We'll get you on a little bit later and we'll find out what you really think.
No problem.
Okay, thanks, Vince. I'm going to bring in now Jason Gregory, all the way from Singapore. G'day, Jace. How you going, mate? And welcome for the first time to Blue Abroad World. How's it all going over there in Singapore, my friend?
Good, man. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate the offer. It's good to be here.
No
Singapore,
worries.
It's a bit like the Tucson tank, mate. It's hot here, super hot.
Yeah, right. Cool. Now, I've got Adam Shaw with me all the way from Tucson, Arizona as my co-host today. So we're definitely getting the international flavour going in Blue Abroad World, and it's growing legs. So it's good to reach out and find these people from all over the place. And we might have someone from the Netherlands a little bit later. So I've just got me clogs in the warmer because it's a little bit cold over here in Perth. But Jace, you work with sports professionals. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, currently I'm sort of stuck here in Singapore due to COVID, and I used to work. I'm sort of semi-retired, for want of a better term, but I was a strength and conditioning coach and also a professional coach in rugby league and also rugby union. I've done that for about 30 years, and now I'm just sort of an old man that's taking it nice and easy.
All right, no worries. Now, any high-profile people that you've of note that you've worked with?
Absolutely. I've worked at Olympic level, World Championship level, Commonwealth Games level, SEA Games level. I've worked with world champions. So I mainly base myself with teams, and we've had a lot of success with the programs that I've worked with. So yeah, a couple of Olympics. I've worked professionally in Japan. I've worked with India's badminton program. So, like pretty much you name it, I've worked in probably 45 different sports.
Wow. So you've got a real passion for that field, obviously. You must enjoy what you're doing very much. I do.
I'm passionate about sport. And the reason why I went into coaching, I was talking to Terry only last week, is when I played rugby league, I played professionally in Australia, and I had my neck broken for me in a game. And I was a quadriplegic for some time, and I'm still a partial quadriplegic and recovering. So at 22 or 2 weeks shy of my 22nd birthday, I couldn't play football anymore. I said to the docs, hey, I want to play. And they say, well, one, you can't because you're not physically capable. And two, if you play again, you're either going to die because the break will be too high, or you're going to be a quadriplegic for the rest of your life. So because I'm passionate about sport, because I'm only driven by sport, I chose the coaching field.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing, mate, and inspirational. That's we love stories about people that have fought back from adversity in their life and not let it get them down and come back stronger. And mate, you're an inspiration. That's amazing. It's awesome to come back from being quadriplegic and to fight through that, and then to build a career on something to help other people. It's amazing. And we are hoping to get Kenny Hunter on. He was supposed to be on about 20 minutes ago. I can't reach him. I don't know what's going on there. But he's another guy, he was the very first really high profile or any footballer actually that came out in the late 80s with his battles with depression and mental health issues and whatnot. And there was a real big stigma attached to it back then. It was a big deal to come out with that. He came out very publicly. It's ongoing battle depression. It's not like a lot of physical injuries, but he's made his career to do with advocacy and helping these people. And he does a fantastic job with Kenny Sheldon with their business, The Fifth Quarter, which, as the name might suggest to people, is about what happens after the finals are and what happens when you move on for your career. A lot of people don't handle that very well and struggle with that mentally. So he does an amazing job. So well done, mate. It's great to hear you've come from that and are doing what you're doing and following your passion and helping other people. It's amazing. What do you think about that, Adam? I mean, obviously in the US with NFL, probably maybe a little bit less of an issue with these guys. They're on about $100 million a year over there. They could probably comfortably get themselves set up with whatever accessibility they need. But look, there is a lot of brutal injuries that happens in the NFL. They must need a big support network over there as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the money helps, of course, but there's a lot of instances. CTE is a big thing in the U.S. these days, especially with the helmets and stuff. A lot of head-to-head clashes. You see a lot of guys, a lot of NFL guys. They take their lives after playing in the NFL because of brain injuries, just the amount of mental illnesses, and they just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. Now, Jace, we've got Adam Shaw from Tucson, and we've heard a bit of his story. Tell us, my friend, how did you become a Carlton supporter, and what does it all mean to you? What's your history and your memories of the great times, and what do you feel about what's going on with the current sort of state of play with the club and where it's heading and what we've gone through?
All right. So my story. My father was a very good junior footballer, and I think he's still probably the youngest ever to debut in the SANFL for Glenelg. He says he was 13. I think he was 14, but we can check the records on that. And he was going to be drafted to Footscray. And just before he left the first time, he broke his femur in a motorbike accident and couldn't go. And then they were going to pick him up the next time around the next year. And then he got conscripted to Vietnam. So he did 2 tours of Vietnam and 1 of Malaysia. But a huge football man, played his entire life. Now, he was my coach for most of my career. I started when I was 2. I played in under 7s in Canberra. That's where we based ourselves after a period of time traveling around the military. And I can still remember stomping on the ice puddles to break them, to actually play when I was 2. I think I just hugged the goalpost and I kind of just like run around my dad's leg and hung around because I was playing against 7-year-old kids. So I started then. I played AFL until I was 18. And kids at my school or my college, they were saying, man, you should play league. You'd be so good at league, because I used to play touch football for Australia as well. And they're like, you should play league. So I gave it a go, and within 10 games, I was in the Australian schoolboys side for rugby league. And I had an offer for the AFL with Sturt and also with the Swans to play for them. And the Canberra Raiders in the NRL, they said to me, hey, look, we want you to play league. Here's a contract. So it was a toss-up what I was going to do. And I decided that I was going to stay in Canberra and do university and play league. So I played league for 4 years, got snapped like a twig. And then, you said I was an inspiration. I just think I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I said a lot of people worse off than me. I've come out the other side, and I just refuse to feel sorry for myself, and that's kind of my journey. I played really well up until I was 22, or for a long time. I played over 300 games for Belconnen, and that's the reason why I support the Blues, because Belconnen's has the same Guernsey, and the insignia on the front is BSC rather than CFC, but identical colours. And I used to just run around the house, kicking socks into the doorway, with goals, and in the rose bushes, taking marks up the speckies up the tree and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of my story. And you asked the question.
Like you got a bit of a family history of the journeys begin with an injury. Listen to you.
Well, it's one of those things. Not everyone can be lucky and get the life that some of these guys have. The big pay packets and whatever else. And that's probably. You asked me the question, what's going wrong with the footy club and what are my feelings? I think when I spoke to Terry, he said, when's our premiership tilt? And I said 2023. I'm going to walk that back. There's no way we're going to make finals or get a premiership until we start winning enough games. That's it. Bottom line, you have to win. And at the moment, we're not doing that. And I see a total lack of desperation, a total lack of hunger. They get after it, they put the pressure on, but they just wilt when the moment's on the line. Like with fourth quarter drop off, you don't see anyone laying themselves out to spoil. You don't see any of that. You don't see any hunger. Half-assed tackles. My rugby league coach used to say, "You die on the shield." You cross that white line and you die on your shield. And we bled for each other. If you don't bleed for each other and you don't really die on your sword or die on your shield, then you're never going to get.
It's a great point you make, because I feel they lack a natural edge. You need that edge, and you do. You need to cross that white line, and you've got to have the same mentality like you're going into battle, you're going to war, and you've got to lie on your shield. Now, I feel that, when these guys get under a fair bit of media scrutiny from a poor performance, they come out the next week and Cripper's angry, and they're angry for a little while, but they still seem they're running around still with like heads with their chooks with their heads cut off. They're angry, but they still don't know where to go, and they become a little bit undisciplined then with their anger. They don't know how to channel that energy. Now, I watched last night. I watched Melbourne over Brisbane, and that was a great win over adversity. Brisbane came out, and they're a very, very good side, and they put the pressure on. But Melbourne came back because they got that edge. It's how they came back. So they have the edge. They have it. And that's why I think that they're going to be very, very hard to beat for the premiership this year, Melbourne. It's that come from adversity win. It wasn't like a win against Carlton where, Carlton come out of the blocks and kick 4 goals, start high-fiving each other and patting each other on the bum and get all excited. They were playing against a very good side who were coming hard, and they played well the whole game. It's just that when it mattered, that was when Melbourne played better, as when their edge kicked in and they were able to take control. So I agree with everything you said there, Joyce.
Thanks, mate. And I think they're playing for each other. We don't play for each other for long enough. When going gets tough, we just put our hands up in the air too hard and we'll roll over and die. You were mentioning it. We've got to step on people's throats and we've got to have mongrel. I keep thinking back to why the hell did we let Mitch Robertson go? Okay, there was off-field issues and whatever else. That man's a beast. And we need that. We need mongrel. We need someone who's an enforcer. We need someone who's like, hey, look, follow me. This is how it's going to get done. And if something happens, I'm going to be right beside you, and I'm going to, pay back.
We need the killer instinct. We need the killer instinct.
Yep. Spot on too there, Adam. Hey, listen, Jay. So I've got the chairman of the New South Wales Carlton Supporters Group and the chairman of the WA Carlton Supporters Group in the waiting room to have a chat about the game on Sunday. Obviously, it's Carlton versus Carlton versus West Coast in Sydney, which is just bizarre, isn't it? This wonderful world we're living in at the moment. So I've got the boys on. We're going to have a chat. Mate, thanks for popping in all the way from Singapore to come and have a chat with us. We'll get you on again soon. If you're doing nothing Sunday, jump on the live show as well, mate, and we can watch you screaming at the telly and breaking your laptop in half or whatever you do.
Yeah, no, you just slam it down shut and walk away.
Nice work, mate. Great having you on. You're a legend.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
See you later. All right. Now, I'll get my big head off there in a minute, Adam. Adam, like I said, I'm just going to bring the other boys in. We've got Adam Briggs from the WA Supporters Group and Craig, whose surname I can't pronounce because I haven't tried yet, but it looks horrible. So I'm going to just call him Craig Alphabet, and we'll bring him in. G'day, Adam, and g'day, Craig.
Hey, Johnny, how you going, boys? G'day, mate. I've never been called Alphabet before, but that's fine. That'll do.
How do I pronounce it?
Karlafeld. Karlafeld. It's a German name.
What is that? German, Austrian, Belgium? What's that?
German, mate. German. I can tell you, we've been in Australia before the war, so
yeah, nice work, mate. Nice work. And Briggsy, all the way there from WA, which is just up the road from me. How you going, mate?
Just around the corner. How you going, Johnny?
Yeah, very, very, very good, mate. Now, this is a big game for us, isn't it? Carlton West Coast. It's transcended the Carlton Collingwood one for us Carlton supporters over here in Perth, really, hasn't it? It's the one we want. It's the one that if we don't get, we cop shit for a week. If we get it, we get to spruik around, chest out. Da-da-da-da-da. Mate,
absolutely. It's been too long. It's been too long. Especially in this office. You might notice I'm sitting in my office at the moment and it's filled with West Coast supporters, Johnny. So I need these guys to win tomorrow.
Just must be horrible. Now, Adam and Craig, I've got Adam Shaw from Tucson, Arizona, one of our big Blue supporters, as my co-host today. So just say good day.
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
So, bragging rights, Briggsy. It's just brutal. We haven't beaten the Eagles for a while. We need this one, don't we?
No, and to be honest, the last time we had a good game against them, Johnny, I think was a semi-final? Prelim. Semi-final. Over here.
2013, after we beat Ninthman, who were placed 5th, and we were placed 9th, and then we were placed 8th, and then we beat Ninthman, and then we got the semi against the Eagles over here, and we were coming very hard at them in that last quarter, and another couple of minutes, we probably would have snatched it.
The 23rd man gave it to them that day.
Pretty much, don't they always? Now, I'll just jump over to Craig. Craig, mate, welcome again to the show. And, it's been a big couple of weeks for you, obviously, with COVID. Carlton staying up there in Sydney. You got supporter group functions. We went through the same thing last year over here in the West, which was great for the the WA supporters going to these great functions and auctions and all of that. It's a lot of hard work leading up to it, isn't it? But good fun on the day.
Yeah, g'day, mate. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, it's a bizarre old time, isn't it? But I remember watching last year of the bubble hub groups and thinking, geez, it'd be great if we could have something like that in Sydney one day. And sure enough, here we are 12 months later, and we've got a couple of games. We've even got the Giants game coming up soon. I wonder if they'll bring that forward. But yeah, look, it's been good. Like I said, last week we exceeded expectations with people that came to our pre-match function. It's been a little while. We weren't quite sure where the Carlton people were in Sydney, but they certainly came out last week. So hoping that they can back that up again and really sort of build our group and presence in New South Wales. It's been good that we've had this opportunity for these couple of games. It's interesting tomorrow, people saying, oh, we should win with all their outs. I don't buy that. I mean, you look at their forward line, they've still got Darling, Waterman, Ryan. They've still got firepower in the middle. It's going to be more a matter of do the first half Carlton turn up or the second half.
Yeah. Liam Ryan, he's the big danger for them now. I think with the two amazingly talented big tools out there, Josh Kennedy and Oscar Allen, we can hopefully some smart coaching can curtail Darling, double team, but then you can't leave Ryan off the leash. I don't feel we have a matchup for him. I think that's a real danger.
There's no Plowman, is there, again today?
No.
Tomorrow, yeah. That's going to be interesting. Good point, mate. I think there's enough firepower down there for them for it to be a danger for us. So
yeah. Oh, look, guys, thanks very much for coming on. I know, Adam, you're busy at work, and Craig, you got plenty on. We were chatting earlier in the week. So, look, I really do appreciate that time you've given up. So, again, everyone that's watching, Craig is the chairman of the New South Wales Supporter Group. Anyone in Sydney and around New South Wales this weekend, get down to the SCG. What bay do they need to come down and find you, mate? Which end day is?
Well, it's not day one this week. I think it's 24 to 28, something like that.
Rightio.
Section that's
just
also
look for all the blue with the beautiful big white monogram in the middle, not that royal powder blue with the spew gold. We don't want you sitting around them. Just go and find the blue supporters at the SCG, guys. See you later, Craig. Have a great day, mate, and good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry about I cut him off a little bit there. Briggsy, I'll say goodbye to you as well, mate. We've got our special guest on. So I know you're in your office there, mate, but maybe you can turn the volume down a little bit, pretend you're working, and listen to the great Kenny Hunter for a while.
I will do. Can I just say, all WA supporters, anyone watching this from WA, please get down to the Carlisle or keep an eye on when we're having functions down at the Carlisle. This weekend against the Eagles, the guys are gathering at the Saints. It's not a function, but they are gathering down there to watch it. I won't be there. I've got family commitments. So, yeah, if you can, get down there.
That's the Saint in Innaloo.
Innaloo, yes, correct. Thanks, mate.
Nice one, Briggsy. Good luck, mate. Have a good day tomorrow. Thank you for today. See ya. All right. Now, Adam Shaw from Tucson, Arizona, my special co-host today. You're in for a treat, mate. I've sent you the YouTube links to the highlights, and I gave you a rundown of the history from Red Dirt Country all the way over there to Victoria. So I'm going to bring in the man himself, the great Kenny Hunter. Good morning, Ken. How you going, mate?
Oh, good morning to you guys. I'm sorry I was a bit late, but I'm all ready to go.
No, that's all right. Well, Buzz reckoned he was going to come on to hit you up for that car in 83 for the Mark of the Year, and he's a bit late as well. So you've avoided him. That's all right.
No, he's a good man, Buzz. So hopefully he's been doing it a bit hard of late, so hopefully things will start to work out for him.
Yeah, and he's got a big function over at Swanson Street in Carlton at the end of July. I'll look that up on my phone while I'll let you and Adam have a bit of a chat. Adam's from Tucson, Arizona. He's a Carlton supporter. He's fallen in love with the game and the Blues. And he's very excited to meet you today and have a bit of a chat. So, Ken, Adam, Ken.
How are you, Adam? You there?
How you doing, Ken?
Going well, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm losing you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my internet's pretty crap. So, my apologies. Hello?
Yeah, that's okay, mate. There might be just a bit of a delay, but I can hear you okay. So no worries. Go for it.
I'll jump in there before I quickly jump out again, Adam. So
you're a Carlton legend, obviously. You know, you played, a few years for Carlton. You're big into mental health, from what I understand. And what was that like in the '80s, coming out with your health, with being mentally, being mentally intelligent, knowing what your emotions are like, and just being open with it? Was there a fear of backlash or anything like that?
Look, absolutely. I think when I first spoke about it, it was in 1999, and at that particular time there was no support agencies around. I don't know what it's like in America, but here we've got a lot of support now with organisations called Beyond Blue or Headspace or Black Dog. But at that particular time, there was nothing. I had to think long and hard about talking about it when a reporter rang me and asked me whether I'd be prepared to speak publicly. But at the end of the day, I thought it was something that I'd seen myself growing up as a kid, and I'd seen it in football before, and it was something that I wasn't ashamed of. And it was also something that I wanted the AFL to know, that there is an underlying issue in the game, and I wanted people to know that they're not on their own, that it does happen to sports people as well, and that was my motivating factors at the time.
So you came to Victoria in 1980, 1981. How was that? Was that like I wouldn't say a scary experience, but it was different, wasn't it?
It was, because I came from Western Australia, and I drove my car across the Nullarbor Plains and came to Victoria, where if you're a footballer in Australia at the time, that was where the best football was played. So you had to go there to try and prove yourself. So I was quite a hardened footballer by the time I made that decision to go. And I was probably 22, 23, but I played a lot of football in WA and was pretty match hardened. So I was ready. I couldn't wait to get there to prove myself.
So from how I've understood is that you were kind of a wild man in a day when the sport was kind of, it was rougher, what was it like competing in a game that was much rougher and much more, violent? What was that like back in the day? Was it just like you're having a kickbout with your mates, or?
Oh, no.
What was that like?
I mean, I played my first senior game in Western Australia when I was 17 or 18, and I had my jaw broken 3 times within a 2-year period. And at that particular time, I was told by all the media in Western Australia that I should give the game away, that I was a danger not only to myself but to the players around me, because they thought I was a bit reckless the way I used to attack the football. But I didn't want my career to end. I was just starting, so I just kept going. I had faith in my own ability, and I didn't want to change my game. I was just up in the way those injuries happened. So when I got to Victoria, I was pretty lucky that the players over there didn't know much about me. So I just had to put my head down and try and prove myself with my football ability and let that do the talking for me. And that's the way it was back then because, and coming to Carlton at that particular time, it was made very clear to me that if you're, we'll see how good a footballer, that we're expected to make finals. There's a big expectation that you make finals, and then we'll see how good a footballer you are as to how you perform in those finals. And that was a big cultural thing at Carlton at that time because Carlton was so successful and they had so many great players that the expectations were high. And I would say that the players that we had at that stage of Carlton's history, they were up to it.
Now, Ken, you did exact a little bit of revenge.
Was there a lot of
and,
pressure
famously,
to be
one of those
successful
was
in that era
against
Carlton?
the man himself, the hyphen, David Rees-Jones. Got a bit of revenge
Like, was
on
there
him.
pressure
So
from the media? Was it
sort of dished out back and
internally?
forth.
Like, was it you have to win. You have to win.
Sorry about that.
I think a lot of the pressure that come from within, because we're in an environment where it was the expectations were so high that internally you had to live up to those expectations, and I think that's what probably made us a great team, but because we had the support of each other and we played as a team and we played for each other and there was like champions on every line. So I just, at the end of the day, consider myself very fortunate to be a part of that time in Carlton's history.
Now, Adam, do you mind if I jump in there, mate? Can I get a word in, Adam?
Of course.
Thanks, mate. It's usually the other way around, people trying to shut me up. But anyway, look, Kenny, I was saying before, talk about the times what football was like back then, and bloody people knocking each other left, right, and centre. It wasn't great for the old the brain membrane, but you did get a little bit of revenge on our good friend the hyphen, David Rees-Jones. When he was playing for Sydney, and then ended up being premiership teammates. What's your relationship with the Hive? Do you still catch up with him?
I saw Reese the other day, funny enough, and obviously when he was playing at the Sydney Swans, he had white line fever, and he's one of those blokes that you had to be a bit wary of when he was on the footy field because you didn't know what he was going to do. But there was a time at the SCG where he was coming back with a football, with a fly of the ball, and I shirt fronted him, and all of a sudden he's on the ground, and Wow Jones said to me, I think you killed him. And anyway, they took him off on a stretcher, and I thought, thank Christ, that pest is gone for the rest of the day. And lo and behold, he came back after half time, and I don't think he knew where he was, but he was in Fairyland, and he actually changed the game for him, and they got up and won the game. So
unbelievable.
But yeah, I didn't hit him hard enough, but. And when he came to Carlton, he really fitted in with the playing group. He was obviously a good player, great player at the Sydney Swans, and I was so thrilled for him personally that he won the Norm Smith Medal in 1987, and because I think he really deserved that. Otherwise, people might just remember him as being the most reported man in Australian rules football. But he actually played the game. He's a beautiful footballer and had great skills, and he's a terrific guy.
Do you think his success is reflective of sort of, again, different times back then where good coaches were really looked upon by players that needed a coach like that as father figures, as people that could reel that emotion in and get the best out of them with their energy on the field, focusing on head over the ball, getting the ball first rather than being undisciplined? I mean, Reece, from stories I've heard, he wasn't the most coachable, easiest bloke to coach in the world, but guys like Parko and even Wolsey in 87, they followed instruction. There's a few coaches nowadays, maybe Alistair Clarkson. How do you compare the coaching from back then to now? Do you think that the head coaches are really strong father figure type mentors for the guys, or do you think that the players are just too much like bloody millennials nowadays to really care about that sort of thing?
Well, I think society's changed, right? And football's changed along with it. And, back in the old days, I guess, of the fire and brimstone with the coaches, where they, used to yell and scream and try and get the best out of you. And I don't know if that's the way to go nowadays. And I think players are a lot more educated and a lot more aware of themselves and what their abilities are. And they really need, like David Parkin, for example, he was, he was a good coach because he not only was he would have a go at you, but then he would pull you aside, and tell you why he had to go at you and almost apologise in some sense. So he wouldn't try and humiliate you in front of the players. And he really tried to get the best out of you as a person. And he took a real interest in you as a person outside of the game, which was quite unique back in those days.
That's that good University of WA education, mate. Good old Parko. Now, look, it's been great having you on. Before we go, I do want to touch on what's going on with you and Kenny Sheldon at the moment with the fifth quarter. Tough times again in Victoria. That's why I really wanted to speak to you this week. I'm pretty good friends with Kate Jezelenko and a few other notables in Victoria, but I have a lot of other friends there as well. And it's especially for the ones with kids that, the kids are back home, homeschooling, locked in a cage. If you've got young boys, especially full of energy, it's not easy, and it's pretty tough for a lot of people out there. Are you guys still able to reach out during COVID? How does that affect what you guys do?
Well, Kenny's gone back to live in Echuca through at the start of COVID, and I think he's got a family farm there, and I don't know if he'll come back. So as far as our business fifth quarter went, a lot of the work we were doing was in front of corporates, and obviously that has gone. But we're sort of pivoting a little bit, and we're sort of taking fifth quarter, and this is probably groundbreaking here and a bit of an announcement, but we want to make fifth quarter a foundation as a not-for-profit and be able to look at keeping people mentally healthy after the game when they're finished, because I don't think that piece has really been looked at in sport generally, because once people's careers finish, there's a lot of people out there that really struggle with their identity and trying to find jobs, and so it's one step in the whole picture, I think, which we can address, beyond the game, fifth quarter. So it sort of makes sense from a COVID point of view in Victoria. I think anyone that didn't understand mental health would surely understand it now, because we've been in so many lockdowns and it has affected a lot of people in different ways, and in particular people with businesses, their kids, the schools, everything. And, for some people, we've been able to cope with that and get through it. And obviously then there's a lot of people out there really, really struggling with the closure of businesses and all sorts of things. So for those people, we can only try and support them as much as we can. And there's not much you can do because because of COVID, you can't get out and do much, but we can only support them through buying their products and trying to keep them alive and survive in these extremely difficult times.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. And look, for anyone watching, I hope that resonates with them. And, mate, if there's anything Blue Abroad can do on our platform to help you guys get it out there when you're up and running, mate, just reach out to us. Terry does a great job, and he's got a good heart, and we're here for the people, mate. That's what this show's all about, and that's why we reach out to guys like Adam in Arizona and our friends from Singapore and Thailand and the Netherlands. We're trying to bring everyone together. It's a bit of fun, but it's providing a support network and everything for the supporters out there, and it's so we're happy to help you as well. So just reach out, mate, once you're up and running, and we'll be there for you.
I will do, and I appreciate that. And I'd like to ask Adam how he got involved with Carlton and what made him follow the Mighty Blues?
Well, I love a team with a good history, and I like a team that's going to hurt me. But yeah, Carlton is a club with a lot of potential. It's a club with a great history, and I always, I got involved in the Facebook groups, and just the social media aspect really drew me in. Blue Abroad was actually something that the channel was one of the first things I found about Australian football and Carlton specifically, and it really drew me in. I learned a lot about the club and the sport in general just from, social media, really.
Well, it's terrific to have you on board, mate, and hang in there because it's a great club, and we've got a lot of pride, a lot of history, and I'm sure that we're going to come good.
I hope so.
Well, Ken, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you again. I love speaking to you. It's always a good conversation. And to this day, your high-flying marks and your head over the ball, no matter what freight train was coming at you, is something that I hope some of that courage at some points instilled into our players and our current team holistically so that we can rise above. And guess what? The Buzz has just he's just messaged me. You know what? I'll get him on. If you're busy, mate, if he does pop into the waiting room, you can go. But look, I'm pretty sure he does want to hit you up for that car still.
Well, I won't know anymore, but I said he could wash it any time he liked. But he didn't.
Get out the old turtle wax.
Well, I won Mark of the Year on Channel 7, won the car, and he won Mark of the Year at the same year on Channel 2 and won a bike. So,
yeah.
So he wasn't overly happy that I got a bike. But anyway, that's the way it went.
I wonder if he's still got the push bike behind some mattresses in the shed or something like that.
Or it has.
But I sent some links to Adam yesterday of your highlights and the Buzzers highlights and told the backstory. And I think he had a field day watching all of those. The Buzz was just sensational. And, the funny thing, and you can probably expand on this a little bit, Ken, watching the highlights, there's a lot of highlights of him actually giving the ball off. We're used to watching blokes like Kevin Bartlett back in those days who wouldn't handball or kick it to a teammate to save his life. But Buzz was actually a very unselfish forward who gave a lot of goals off as well and was always looking up and looking for someone to give it off to, and with skillful passes. He really was a complete package. There's a lot of highlights of him running through the midfield as well. People forget how quick, how skillful, and how unselfish he was as a player. He had pizzazz and he lit the place up in those moments. But there was a lot more to the Buzz than that, wasn't there?
Oh, there was. I think, he was, we both came over in the same year, both from Western Australia. I was a backman. He was a forward. He was the extrovert. I was probably the introvert. So, and we used to play against each other growing up as kids, funny enough. But when he got to Victoria, I think Buzz really lifted, not that he wasn't, but he loved the big stage, and he really performed at a really high level that was just something that was, as players, that when you're looking for inspiration, Buzz was there to give it, as well as players like the Dominator. But he was probably, one of the first forwards that really gave the forward type pressure that you're talking about, and which is really important in today's football, and be able to lock people down. But to come over and he won, Mark of the Year and Goal of the Year in his first year was an incredible feat, really. And then to be able to top it off, to be able to play in the premiership in our first year in 1981 against our old foe in Collingwood, and then follow it up. Yeah, and then follow it up in 82 against Richmond. I mean, we just couldn't ask for a better start in our AFL career or VFL careers.
Extraordinary. And he, it makes me laugh now when commentators have a crack at players for showing other players the ball. Now, Buzz loved the celebration, and if he took a mark, he loved holding the ball up and showing the ball like Jacko and all of that. He had that character and pizzazz about him as well, and he loved the celebration when he kicked the goal, whether it was a set shot or he was the first Dacos. Some of those goals he kicked were just unbelievable. I think he just really surprised Victorians when he came over there a lot, quite a lot. But geez, he loves the celebration. Remember the old windmill?
Oh yeah, him and Dominator. I think they love to celebrate and probably before their time in a lot of ways in their celebrations, which is a bit more like the soccer way they used to celebrate. And of course now every goal that a player kicks is celebrated. But I think they're just so exciting to watch and be a part of that team. And I think we all had different strengths and we all brought different aspects to the game that was quite a unique team that really to this day still get on, and thankfully we're all still alive, and we'll hopefully celebrate a reunion later on this year. But we're incredibly lucky. I consider myself extremely fortunate that I played with some of the greatest footballers that played in the game of VFL, AFL history. People like Bruce Dool, Wayne Harms and Mark McClure and Dave Mackay and Jeff Southby. I mean, the names just
unbelievable.
On and on and on. And they're just, I apologise to the other 20 blokes I didn't mention, but I hold them equally as in the same sort of, admiration that I have for the others, because it was a special time in all our lives. It was a privilege to be able to play with those players, and it's a privilege to be able to call them mates, even though we don't see each other, we don't live in each other's pockets. But because we were successful, we do have reunions, so it's always a wonderful time to catch up.
And look, and it's been a pleasure for us as supporters. Most of us are from Australia. We grew up playing footy in amateur leagues and all of that, and we love our footy. And you always follow your teams like you do with the NFL when you were growing up, Adam, and that's part of your tribe, and you love it. And you know what? You guys always generously give up your time. We've had Dave, Wow Jones, Diesel, and that have all popped in to say hi, and it means a lot to the supporters, especially at the moment where we're desperately looking for some sort of some knowledge of success, something that we hope that we can experience. So it adds a little bit to the hope and promise that we have talking to you guys. And mate, you're amazing. Thanks for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for today. Good luck with the fifth quarter and how that's evolving. Please keep us in touch with that, and we're happy to support you and give that a big pump up in any way we can. All right, mate?
Appreciate that, guys, and lovely talking to you, Adam. Take care, mate.
Yeah, it was good talking to you, Ken. It's good to talk to a legend of the game, really.
Good on you, mate. And there's a few others. Is Buzz coming on now? Is he? So you got a chance to talk to him.
He's probably figuring it out. I've messaged him back. He'll be on soon. We'll have some fun.
All right, guys. You take care.
Good
okay.
on you,
Go Blues.
Go the Blues.
Blues.
Well, how was that, mate? You enjoy that?
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was nice.
The great Kenny Hunter. And I'll tell you what, if our current crop of players could somehow channel even 10, 20% of the courage and fortitude that it takes to commit and dedicate yourself to the little thing we call the pigskin in games of football, to follow their coaches and to follow the road to glory, then we'll be in good stead, because he was still, in my mind, the most courageous player to play the game for any club, certainly for Carlton. And you talk to anyone that played in that era, and there's not many that will disagree with that. And I'm talking some pretty hard guys and some champions, and not many would disagree that Kenny Hunter was the most courageous man to play the game. And he absolutely was. He wasn't built like a brick shit house, but boy, he flew, and he did not waver with his head over the ball, even with Robert Domenico streaming at him like a steam train. that was him, and not many have that sort of courage. So great to speak to Kenny again. Now, what I'll do is I'll bring in the Bangkok Bandit, and I might just pop out and bring in the. I think Vince has popped the other half of his blue pill now, and he's ready to continue with the hard word, and let us all know exactly what he feels. But I might let Joe begin that conversation. So, Joe, welcome back.
Thanks, Joe.
Mate, state of play. I'll get you guys to have the discussion about last week before we segue into what we need to do this week.
Okay. Thanks, Johnny. Where's young Vince? Hello, Vince.
Hello. How are you, fellas?
Not too bad. Now, Vince, but the other day you wrote a big post on this Blue Abroad about the Carlton Business Club, and you were going on a bit about it before. So tell us, where do you think we're failing? Obviously, we're failing on the field, but you know the old Italian saying that the fish stinks from the head, right?
The fish rots from the head. In fact, I think I used the word stinks, but I should have said rot.
Yeah. So what, as an outside observer, I mean, I know you've been involved in the Carltonians and you've been with the Blues a long time. Yeah. What do you think is our real issue here? The core fundamental issue.
Well, I was alluding to it before, Joe, that, I mean, the trap for most of us supporters is that we get caught up in the micro level issues. And that's what we tend to do from week to week because, we look at the team and we look at who's playing well and who's not playing well and we look at all the recruits and we say this recruit wasn't a good trade and that one was a bad pick at, draft pick number, whatever he was.
Yeah.
We get caught up in that level of detail, whereas I tend to look a bit further up the chain and see if things are right above that. And I just think that quite often it's the senior coach that ends up being the scapegoat. It's certain players that end up getting, used as the scapegoat and they get traded out or delisted or whatever. Assistant coaches, etc., seem to be, having the focus on them at the moment. And there's talk that there's going to be a big clean out of assistant coaches next year. I just look further up and I look at who's in fact in charge of the club, who is setting the strategies for the club, and whether those strategies are actually working and whether they're being implemented. And it seems that the club's, main achievements, as they call them, seem to be all off field. And just by the by, I question a lot of those anyway. But if you're looking at on-field, what frustrates me is that the board seems to be distancing itself from what's happening on the field as if they're not responsible for it and they're not accountable for it. I think they are, and they should.
You cut out there, Vince.
Sorry, I just had someone try and call me.
How dare they? It's probably Kane Little.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Hello?
You're back, baby.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I can't see myself on my own screen. I think there needs to be the same rules applied to them as they apply to everybody else within the club. Because one thing that the board does is it appoints people, it gives them authority over certain areas of the club, and then it holds them accountable for that. Okay. And whether it's a player or a senior coach or an assistant coach or a general manager of football or a chief executive officer, they're all answerable to the board and they're all held to account. And I just think that the board itself is the one that's not being held to account for its promises, for its representations, and for the failures that we've seen on the field for the last 7 years. And they think that by just changing the president or changing a couple of positions on the board, that all of a sudden it's a brand new board.
We spoke about
that. I think that what they should do is apply the same rules that they apply to everyone else, to themselves. And they should say, you know what? we came out 7 years ago and said, if we adopt this strategy, a full list rebuild, that this is going to achieve sustained success. And all we've seen is that we've dropped way behind the Melbournes, the Brisbanes, the Western Bulldogs, etc., and we're nowhere near them. And I just think that they should fall on their own sword and they should give it back to the members. This club belongs to the members. Yeah. And that's what people need to remember, is that the members should decide who governs their club. Not
Can I jump in?
Club where they pass the baton down from one person to the next.
Can I jump in, Vince?
That's my stance on it.
Vince, the reason I want to jump in now is the beauty of this show is that we get people from all over the world and different other experiences. And I want to lean on Adam again here because he's come from a different country, followed a different sport. Are there examples there that you can reflect on for us with the big clubs in the NFL? Do they, when they perhaps become a little bit too much, corporate driven? Rather than the success on the field, it's all about survival off the field. And then as it's sort of transcended into more modern times, it's about big profits. It's about, making a success of it.
Well, in terms of NFL, there's no club that's really in, danger of, falling to pieces or anything like that. But in terms of similarities to Carlton and what the situation is today, reminds me a lot of Dallas Cowboys, really. The Cowboys were really good in the 70s and the 80s, the 90s. And, they're nowhere near good enough now. And they have a huge fan base with high expectations. And, the team lets them down every year, and so does the board.
Yeah. I've just sorry, Joe. I've just popped you off there because I got my good friend Rocco on here. I gotta say, Rocco, a little bit disappointed, mate, that you've gone out celebrity poaching from Blue Abroad World. You've got your regular segment with Vincenzo. I mean, come on. But it's a great segment. It is. I'm glad that we can work together and support each other because that's a great little segment. But come on, mate. Come on. When do I get to go on the jumper punch?
No. Well, you can. I told you, anytime you're down here, you're welcome. You're going to be on the jumper punch, mate.
I'll dip that sexy little bald head of yours in honey and throw you to the bees, my friend.
I can't wait, mate. I cannot wait. This is going to be so good.
We can't get excited about the footy, so we're going to get excited about something else, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, listen, on the good note, we have got a new sponsor. That should fix everything, shouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I said it before. The Great Southern Bank. And the sun shines through the prisms. It was just, I'm inspired.
That was so good, man. I couldn't wait. They put the announcement out. I woke up early just trying to hear this announcement, and then they brought out the accountants. They brought out all the office people. They all stood around there, and they announced the massive coup.
Now, Vince, I'm going to jump you out just for a tick because I've got another very special guest coming on, and I just can't fit everyone in. And I've just brought Rocco in. It's a shame he wasn't on when Kenny was on because we could have had some fantastic banter, but we're going to have some fantastic banter anyway. And I speak of none other than the one, the only, the man with the most pizzazz to ever have played the game, except maybe Warwick Kappa. No, I'd say he's got more pizzazz than Warwick Kappa. Peter, the Buzz, Bosustow. Buzz, good morning, mate. Thanks for jumping on. How you going?
Good morning, fellas. And yes, Warwick Kappa. Oh, don't put me in the same bracket as that, Jono. But no, good to be with you. And hope that Kenny Hunter told some truth today. He's a little bit of a fibber when it comes to marks of the year.
Well, mate, I tried to put in a good word for you with Kenny about the car, but he said that you're welcome to come over and wash it anytime you want.
Yes, he often tells me that, boys, but no, what a fantastic player the K Hunter was for the Carlton Footy Club. And I still revere that line, John, Bruce Dool, Val Perovic and Kenny Hunter. sends shivers down my spine.
Absolutely. It's just, but the whole team, and the bond that you guys had was something very, very special. And Kenny touched on that, and it's been well documented. But before I chuck you and introduce you to the other two guys, I do want to mention one thing, and I mentioned about the pizzazz, and you love to celebrate a goal, and we loved watching it. That was the beauty of guys like you and the Wiz and Jacko and all of that, and there's not enough of that anymore. And you gave everything to make supporters very, very happy. Whenever you took a mark holding the ball to the crowd, nowadays the commentators, if anyone holds the ball up or puts it in the face of an opponent, they have a crack at them. The celebrations, the windmills after a goal, all of this sort of stuff. There is a fair bit of that emotion out of it now with the current society, the current players that are involved in the AFL community. Could we just possibly bring a little bit of that back and let the AFL relax a little bit on the players? What are your feelings on that?
Well, I think they've got to look after the grassroots supporters. They're the ones that are bringing the money to the football game. And, I remember back in, I'm talking 20 or 30, 35 years ago, 40 years ago now, we used to go around about midday and watch the under-19s, John, didn't we? And, there was probably 10,000 people there watching the games then. And halfway through the reserves, the place was just about full. So by the time the league side ran out, there was, 45,000 people at the at Princes Park. And I tell you what, they made some noise. And, it screamed out for entertainment. I don't think they give entertainment now. I think, I did a show with Stevie Johnson, John, about 2 or 3 years ago. And, someone asked him, Stevie, what's it like, kicking a goal and coming off the ground, boys, when you kick a goal and, you're on fire and they want you to come off the ground. He said, I kicked this freak goal. You know what Stevie Johnson's like? I kicked this freak goal and I had to come off the ground and then they held me down and then I kicked another freak goal and they held me down and then I'll come back on. I kicked another freak goal. He said, I got more tired running off the ground, boys, while he was resting on the bench, So,
that's it.
Give people entertainment. Come on, this is what the game's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Buzz, I've just introduced to the guys here. I've got Rocco. This is a bit like the Brady Bunch, isn't it? The opening of the Brady Bunch. We've got all the squares here, right? So, as you're looking at the screen to your right, you've got Rocco with a beautiful bald head there. Now, he hosts a show called The Jumper Punch on Blue Abroad. It's a fantastic show. And above Rocco and to my right, we've got Adam Shaw all the way from Tucson, Arizona.
Really?
He's
yes.
He's joined the Blue Abroad World Team, and we got guys everywhere from Thailand, Japan, Singapore, the US. We're growing this thing and trying to get Carlton supporters from all over the world. Yeah. So,
Rocco's show must be going well because he hasn't had me on yet.
Well, we're going to get you on, mate. We're going to get all the big. Actually, I think we did a segment on you anyway about mark and goal of the year in the same year.
What, one segment, Rocco? Okay.
Don't get him started, Rocco.
Mate, the invitation's there. Guaranteed we want the buzz on there. I got a question. You took mark and goal of the year in the same year, yeah? Yes. But the mark of the year was at Princes Park, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And the goal of the year was at the G, and the G was in front of a big crowd, but the mark was in front of Princes Park. Which one gave you more of a buzz?
Just to correct you there, Rocco, it was AFL Park or VFL Park at Waverley.
It was Waverley. That's correct. You're right too. Yeah.
Excuse me. And look, certain times of the game, that particular day, Rocco. Geelong were really, this is the mark I'm talking about, they were really pressing us, for the top spot, in the 1981 season. And there was a bloke on a half-back flank, Rocco, called Ken Hunter that took about 22 marks that day.
Yes.
And was absolutely incredible, just stopped everything. And, I just happened to have that one opportunity sort of early in the last quarter. I think we're about maybe a couple of points up at the stage and, Parkin always sort of says to, the 3 or 4 of them, you know who I'm talking about, John, Wayne Harms, Wayne Johnston, myself, Jimmy Buckley, Brucey Dill to do something fantastic across the half-back line, just to do something special to spark the side up.
So he would say that, would he?
Yeah, I think this is very, very important, guys. I don't think the current side has got anyone near a dynamo or anyone like that to spark the side up. Okay, we've got our 3 or 4 A-listers, Cripps, Doherty, Walsh, but we haven't got that dynamo in the side like, Wayne Harms. Let's say the 81 grand final, John, did 2 or 3 spectacular things and got us back into the game. And 1982 grand final, Richmond brought that, that 19th, a girl on, who come on halfway through that third quarter. And
mate, that was the best moment of my 12-year life.
Spark us up, Rocco. Spark us up. But no, that's what it's all about in footy. And the two situations there was very, very probably individual for me, but I think it was sort of outstanding for the guys as well, because if you're going to do those sort of things, Rocco, you've got to do the 1% things as well. You've got to do your shepherding and tackling, and when you've got to go, you've got to go. And that side in the 80s and Steve Kernahan's side in the 90s were just that sort of side that sort of played for each other. And they had generals on the field, like, John, we go back to the 81, 82, 83 sides. They had all Australians on every line.
And you can go back. You can go back as far as, and I've spoken about this a lot with a lot of people, and you talk about those moments and the coaching as well, and the freedom that players had. And if you had good players like that, why not? And Kenny was, by the way, Adam, just so you know, and I know I sent you the link for his highlights, Kenny was a spectacular mark. Like I said, that's part of his courage. There wasn't much on him, but he wasn't scared of what he landed on. But courageous. I go back, say, the 1970 grand final, down by 42 points at half-time, and now Jezza takes that mark. Sid 44. Jackson kicks a goal that Eddie Betts would be envious of around the corner from the boundary about 40 metres out. And I love watching the highlight of that goal because it reminds me of Eddie so much. And you can feel, like, even watching the replay, you can just feel the worm turning, the momentum changing. And it's not just the fear that, a team can sniff and ride the momentum off. It's the other team getting flat. It's the other team just slowly, their energy levels going down. And that's an amazing game for you, Adam, to watch. I know it's black and white and all of that, but, mate, do it, because that'll inspire you to love Carlton even more. You watch that 1970 grand final, it's on YouTube, you can't miss it. But those moments in games, when you got players like that, they can absolutely turn any situation, turn the old frown upside down.
Yep.
Now, Buzz, you've got a big function coming up in July at Swanson Street. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, probably well known that I was involved in a person heading off with a lot of money from about 120, 130 individuals, and totaled about 28 million, Adam. And we lost all that money. We prepaid our rent, just to live in the particular house that a owner owned. We had it for about 2.5 years, boys, and unfortunately, about the third year, all the money disappeared. So it left myself and my wife and about 120 elderly people, or even more than that because they're partners, with having to pay the rent again. Once they lost that money, John, they had to repay that money again, or you had to pay your rent again because, the owners of the actual property had to be paid with their rental weekly or monthly check, you see. So Carlton have been very, very good. And, John, you know the people that I'm talking about here, Alex Jesselenko and David Parkin and, Kenny Hunter himself and, Curly Austin and, it just list goes on and on and on. And, people helping me with, just sign stuff, John, just send it up, Buzz, what can we do for you? Send it over. And, you've done so many things for us and memories you've got, let's join in the little, the little effort to try and help you. And, I was a little bit sceptical, Adam, for a start, that, I didn't really want to, to put my hand out for a sort of a help out. But look, in the end, it was probably the Carlton supporters, Rocket, that, really convinced me into having it. And I believe a chap called Goz Margetta's actually doing the roast I think Kenny Hunter was one of the main speakers there. So I think his couple of stories. And we did come across together, Adam. I don't know whether you do know this. We come across together in 1981, and we signed up with Carlton in that particular year. And, we just had so fantastic seasons, both of us. But we went into an outstanding side, Rocco, didn't we? And, as I mentioned before, all Australian players everywhere, Southby, Harms, Perovic, Dool, Fitzpatrick, Swan Mackay, the list goes, Wayne Hart, the list goes on. And very, very, very lucky.
The thing was that we were already a great side. 79 we won. We should have won 80. And then all of a sudden, the Buzz and Kenny Hunter, and sorry, the Buzz, Kenny Hunter was my favourite player, so I had the number 9 on my back. The only time I've ever put a number on my back. So, you used to come along, and it just, oh, my God, the side was unbelievable the next 2 years. Yeah.
The most courageous player, Adam, I've ever seen, Rocco. And he had 3 broken jaws before he come to Melbourne. In West Australian footy. I don't think he done one in a state game. And I think he was signed with North Melbourne at the time. And North sort of said in the Form 4, you're just going to kill yourself over here. But he played nearly 175 games. I think, John, you think, when I correct me there, if I'm wrong, 3 premierships for the club, been a director of the club. And what a man, he's such a gentleman as well. And my goodness me, people often tell me, Rocco, what about Dool, Perovic and Hunter up against Bosustow, McClure and Wayne the Dominator Johnson?
That's right.
I would have loved to have seen that one.
Would it be just a mouth-watering line up against each other? But I'll tell you what, and no disrespect here, mate, that's one hell of a back line. Good luck to anyone.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
The Dom would have hit all 3, Rocco.
I know the Dom would have gone through all 3. Exactly,
all 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, anyone there in what date is it and the venue, Buzz, the event?
23rd of July.
Yep.
It's the Arrow on Swanston.
Yep.
Limited tickets now, fellas, because as with COVID, as we all know, the capacity sort of dwindles a little bit when they've got to only have a certain amount there. But at this stage, still 6 or 7 weeks to go, and we'll just play it by ear in the next couple of weeks. And John, after the show, I think you may have even seen the promo or the flyer that's going around at the moment. So if anyone, I just mention anyone, and there'll be a lot of the past players there, boys. I think there's about 10 or 15 committed already, and whoever wants to come along in that era. And the only one I'm looking at getting there, and I'll do me 155% effort, Rocco, is the flying doormat. If he goes, I know I'll.
If you can get the flying doormat to get there, that's going to be huge.
That'll be a riveting conversation.
Yeah.
It'd be a coup itself, wouldn't it?
I reckon you can do it. Hey, I'm going to promote that on my show on Tuesday. So we're going to give that a big promo for you, mate.
Thanks.
And whenever you're down here.
And look, for all the Carlton supporters out there that are watching this, and I see a heap of comments, and I've been trying to pop a few up there and whatnot. But, and I always say this about David Rees-Jones, one of my good friends now. And these players had each other's back like you wouldn't believe. And they put their bodies on the line for our enjoyment. And a lot of us, including myself, we're all impervious to having fault at times or whatever. But, we need to be reminded that these players, they did it all, and they did it all for our entertainment as well. And so any opportunity, like we had Dave with his Prader-Willi syndrome for his son, Buzz has gone through hard times. We need to be reminded every now and then to get your head out of your ass and maybe have these guys back for a little while. So anytime you can support, go to the function at Swanston Street on the 23rd of July if you're available, and support a great bunch of guys that are trying to help each other out as well. We've got to be there for
family, John, isn't it? It's called family.
It is.
It's the Carlton family. And,
exactly.
If anyone's in trouble, I just think we all band together. I've spoken to Jeff Southby quite a few times in the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's been through Rocco. He's been through a little bit of depression type situations years ago, and he's fought his way out of it. And we're always there for each other, though. I think that was why we won premierships, And that's why I think, we can go back to reunions. And, I don't see him too much time, John, as you know, I'm in WA quite a bit now. I only go to see the games, on a limited occasion if they're in WA. But every time I go back to Western Australia, and not just the Carlton people, Rocco, it's, if I go over there and Dermot Brereton or a Billy Brownless or Dougie Hawkins or someone's in the crowd, they'll come across. Because, football in that stage was, in those times, was just absolutely outstanding. We used to go in after the games and we'd have a squash with them or a beer or whatever. Or, a couple
squash.
of sandwiches, and we got to know each other. And, I think that's what it's all about in football. And they don't do it now. They have to get on a plane, Rocco, don't they? They get on a plane or they get on a bus and, move out. They don't get that social atmosphere type situation where they can become friends off the field. So I think, a lot of Carlton people's friends are Essendon because, that we're always sort of, with them after the games and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
And remind you about that, John. I played about 11 times against Essendon and never had one victory against them. That was a good one.
Really?
Up, wasn't it?
Really? Is that true?
We had that little bastard Tony Bahaja running around thumping everyone.
Incredible. Yeah, it was.
Wow. No wonder I hate him.
I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this one, 1995, our premiership year. Actually, we had a 1 point win against the Eagles over here in an absolute cracking.
Oh, I was a commentator.
Absolute crack. The boys got on it with the supporters down at the Maylands Peninsula Hotel.
Incredible.
And Sauce Sticks, who drinks pints like this and they just disappear back in the day. And not over his head, down the gullet. But, geez, and they did. The engagement was there with the supporters. There was a lot more connection. The supporters felt more connected to the club. It is harder for us nowadays in that regard, but it doesn't matter. We're still Carlton. We got to be there. And what else are you going to do? Go for Collingwood? I don't think so. We're Carlton.
Well, if we go forward to the grand final, John, I've watched the '95 grand final quite a few times, as we all probably have. And look, the leadership of Kernahan that day was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everything went through him. Every time there was a goal scored, he had a hand in it. The boys were absolutely all over him all day, and I think it was virtually all over by about halfway through the third quarter, Rocco, wasn't it?
It was about 80 points.
The stamp of approval on the game, and it was just a classy side. And how they didn't win a couple of premierships in a row is beyond me. Sticks often said to us, he said, Buzz, we had probably 6 or 7 mid-30-year-olds in the side, and they virtually all retired together, Rocco, if you remember. We had
a few more years later.
We had, Sauce and Williams and Sticks himself, Spalding,
Spalding.
And so it was a situation
Bradley.
there. Bradley was another one, So that next year, I was just and I often said to Sticks, I said, why wasn't there a dynasty of that side? It was just incredible to see them take the Geelong side apart in the '95 grand final.
The whole year, Buzz, man. Like, you could see him come back from '94. When they come back in '95, they had this thing about them. And I heard that Parkin put responsibility on each line to take care of themselves, and they would have little competitions between themselves. Like, even I think the back line had a competition on who could kick the most goals within the back line, and so they took that responsibility. And apparently Parkins was that bloke who would he's a teacher. He would pass on that responsibility, and it showed in the team at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Agree with you 100% there. And again, that was a very, very similar side to the early '80s side. That there was all Australians on every line, and they took responsibility. Rocco, I think that's a very, very good point of yours that you make there, and we can probably transpire it into the current side where they just haven't got the players, have they? The leadership to sort of slow a game down.
I've been saying that. Unfortunately, we haven't got those leaders just to lead that, take that next step. It's kind of like everyone's waiting for someone else to do something. I don't know. I don't think that's the way to go.
Well, look, you're looking at Cripps, Cripps and Walsh and these sort of players, Doherty, are always going to get the ball. But you've got to step up for them every now and then, because when you've got to go, I said it before, when you've got to go, you've got to go. Boys, I'll take you back to the 1982 grand final. You know, it was one of the greatest games of all time. Hunter was knocked out at about the 10-minute mark of the first quarter, sorry.
Wasn't it?
Then Rossi Ditchburn was knocked out with an errant foot to the head when I come on about the 26-minute mark of the first quarter. There was no 100 interchanges in those days, Adam, I can tell you. You know, so I think we had about 12 or 13 interchanges, and that side, Rocco, had to play that game virtually with the same side all day. And you know what? We trusted each other, you know, all the way through that. And what's that old saying, John? A champion team always beats a team.
A team of champions every day, and rank underdogs that day as well. It was all against you, but the champion team again. That's that rings so true. So that's you can see that's what we're trying to build. At Carlton, you know, we at right now, you know, we just got to give these younger guys a go, I think, and run them through the team and harden them up and get them playing the system. But, it's a little bit hard. Hey, Rocco, I'm going to pop you out a little bit because the number one protagonist wants to come on for the hard word.
I know who that is.
So I'll just bring him in, mate. And, Rocco, thanks for your input, mate. I've got Joe from Thailand, but I've also got Vince from Vince's Viagra. Vince wants to come on for the hard word and say good day to the buzz. Vince has got that. Mate, you got me on the clock again.
I was just thinking, my God, we've been going for 100 minutes already. It's great.
It's supposed to be a 1 hour show.
Who's this good-looking bloke?
And I'm glad to also say that I've got the privilege of having been asked to host the Peter Bosustow roast on the 23rd of July. So that should be a lot of fun. It's great to see you, great man.
Who's that handsome man there, Johnny? I recognise the face.
That is the Prince of Prince's Park.
Yes.
Vince, and he's on for his little segment called Vince's Viagra, the hard word. And he's come to say good day. We've got Joe in Bangkok waiting, but we'll let Vince say good day first.
Good on you, Vince.
I'll tell you what, Buzz, you must love playing Geelong because you took your mark of the year against Geelong at Prince's Park. You kicked your goal of the year against Geelong at Waverley, and our last premiership was against Geelong at the MCG, and that was a highlight of our lives, wasn't it? So you must really enjoy when Carlton plays Geelong.
And too long ago, isn't it, Vince? 95 now. I think Adam was talking about it before that. We must get this current side. On the right keel. I've got a few thoughts on it. In those days, Vince, you'll know all about this. We hardly even had to put a player in, didn't we? Had 26, 27, 28 players that we could bring in if someone was injured or whatever, in both the 81 and 82, and I would say 87 and 95 was exactly the same. And, we got to the stage where, if someone was out, we could bring someone in straight away. But we haven't had, Vince, have we? We haven't had a full complement of players in this current era, represent the Carlton Footy Club. Curno's been out, McGovern's been out, Fisher's been out, Williams has been out, Martin's been out, so we just haven't had that full complement of players where you're talking about, John, where we can have a look at this side and say for once and all, okay, they have got a pretty good chance, like Charlie Curnow. I'm very, very, very upset with him. You just cannot be doing these extra things during a pre-season, Vince. Going out and playing netball or basketball or tennis or whatever, when you're a highly paid player for the Carlton Football Club and we haven't got you on the field for the last 18 months.
2 years.
It's
been 2 years.
Yeah. It's a big bugbear.
In fact, it was in Perth against Fremantle. Where he injured his knee. I think it was in the first or second quarter. That was the last time we saw him. It was June 2019. I was there at the game with Johnny. And
so that's what I'm talking about there. And I think John was saying it before that we just haven't had a full complement in the current side to see how they are. Then we can really put the ruler through a couple of players if we have to. But
then you hope. You just hope. Hope upon hope that he within himself has enough internal fortitude to be able to say to himself, look, I owe this club something now. I fucking owe this club. Well, I need to play the next 5 to 10 years at my optimum, pull my head in off the field and give it everything a go. I've supporters been hanging for me to make a difference to this side, and I've let them down. I haven't been able to get out there. I need to dedicate my body, my mind, my bloody soul, everything to this club and pay back because they are very highly paid players. So they
couldn't
do
have
need
put
to
it any better myself, John. Couldn't have put it any better myself. And McGovern's another one, very highly paid player. And I did see glimpses towards the last couple of games that he did play. But again, he's another one, Vince. We've got to get on the field. And, he's got to give us some really good, games in return. I just thought that he wasn't fit enough to play, AFL football.
Yeah.
His timing was out with his marking. He used to be one of the best marks, but along with his brother in the AFL. But this year, of course, and last year, he just seemed to me that he was late. I don't think the game plan, boys, was anywhere there it should have been. A strategy, into the forward line. We had those big boys up there, Johnny, didn't we? Casbolt and big Harry Mackay now, and of course McGovern. So you've got to have a game plan. And I tell you what, who was our general in those days, Vince? A bloke called Mark McClure. If you were in the wrong spot, he would be belling at you to get into the right spot. And I don't think these young fellas have got anyone like that to do that, within the team at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Carlton back then with Mark McClure, you're talking about, we had courage across the line. He wasn't just, he would take Nick Rewalt type marks, run them back to the flight of the pack with his back to the players coming at him and mark it like that was the type of person he was. That he'd lay his body down for that club. He crossed that white line. He went to battle. He went to war. Yeah. And I think Jason, it was Jason from Singapore earlier today saying that, when he played, that his coach told him you'd lie on your shield, and you go across that field, and you cross that white line there, you got to lie on your shield if you do what you got to do to win that game. And Mark was a great leader. I loved watching Mark.
Absolutely, and Vince will know this. What I'm going to say here that when I went across to Melbourne, I wanted to play with Johnson and McClure because I just thought they were the two greatest half forwards. Now, if you remember, Vince, that McClure was the first one to take the ruckman who used to drop back on the centre half forward, and McClure would take both of them on, and that would make it very, very easy then for the Mosquito fleet to buzz in around the place and pick the ball up. And in those days, John would kick some very big scores of footy, because McClure was that particular person, and we hear him now, don't we, boys, on Foxtel and other outlets that we should be doing this and should be doing that, and he's a person you have to really listen to very hard because he's very, very good at football analogy.
Yeah, and there's absolutely. There's one thing about Mark.
I've got 12 minutes. Go on.
Righto.
One more, Vince. One more.
Well, as Buzz said, it'd be nice to get a full complement of players on the field, but the reality is every team's got injuries. If we're talking about the Carlton West Coast game tomorrow, I think West Coast are far more decimated with injuries than what we are. I went through the list and they've actually got 14 players out of their 42, out of their total squad of 42 that are out injured. And this includes players like, Tim Kelly, Luke Shuey, Josh Kennedy. The list goes on and on. It's amazing how many. Oscar Allen. If we cannot beat West Coast tomorrow, in my opinion, by a minimum of 6 goals, then we have gone nowhere. And I said this a couple of weeks ago when we played Hawthorn that we should really be beating them by something around 8 goals. Now, we ended up, I think, winning by 4 or just less than 4. But, for the whole game, they were still in it with about 10 minutes to go. So I really do question how well developed our players are, how well they're coming along. I think Sam Walsh is the outstanding recruit that we've had in the last 5 years. But I don't see too many others progressing. And look, who knows what the result will be tomorrow. But if we are going to stand up and finally make a statement about ourselves, we need to win tomorrow and win really well to give our Carlton fans anything to cheer about. If it's just one of those games where we fall across the line where we did it like we did against Hawthorn, well then, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing to brag about. It's a win. It's a W in the W column. But, you know, West Coast, I know they're in the 8, but they're only just in the 8. And with the injuries that they've got tomorrow, they should be losing. They really should. And I think Carlton is red-hot favourites at about, I think it was about $1.50 or $1.60 last time I checked.
Yeah.
So, you know, even the market says we should be winning this game and winning comfortably.
Yep. But
So
anyway,
Carlton,
let's go through it. Let's go through it, Vince. Let's go through this methodically. I've brought Rocco. We'll mate. Have you popped the second half of your blue pill? Are you ready for the hard word after this, Vincenzo?
Yes.
Because I've brought Rocco back in. Paolo's a little bit busy, so we brought Rocco in now. I'll just go through the injuries as it stands from later this week. So obviously we had Lockie Plough with the suspension, Sam Philp, who's out for the season, David Cunningham, who's out for the season, and Caleb Marchbank, who's out for the season. So we strike a line through those. We got Mitch McGovern, another 4 to 6 weeks with that hamstring. Charlie Curnow indefinite, but the hard word is on him. It's you know, he's probably a few weeks away, maybe a VFL game, come back in the second half of the season or right at the back end of the season. We've got Michael Gibbons 2 to 3 weeks with his hamstring. Oscar McDonald 5 to 7 weeks with his back injury. Now, Zach Fisher, obviously he's been named, so he's back in. We got the exciting young Corey Durden, who's been lighting it up with his forward tackling in the VFL. So he's a developing player. We probably won't see him this year. But that's it now. The injury list has actually shrunk a little bit. So we're looking a little bit healthier. There's less excuses out there. And the ins and outs are Paddy Dow and Zach Fisher. Obviously, Lockie Fogarty, Levi Casbolt omitted, and Michael Gibbons with the injury. So Mark Murphy will most likely, I would imagine, come into the side. Maybe Paddy Dow's a medical sub. What are your thoughts on that? Anyone take that one, please?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, the ends are good. You know, I just thought last week, boys, that, you know, we didn't use enough leg speed in the side. We brought big Levi in, didn't we? And I thought we should have, excuse me, we should have brought you know, young Parks in and you know, put a bit of leg speed on there. And you know, I think we all found out in the end, weren't we, that Sydney just moved that ball around, you know, so well. But no, look, good ends. You know, has the final side been struck yet, John? Or that just it's just a.
That was the final side as of 5 p.m. our time yesterday. So, look, I think also important. I just want to touch on the Eagles. So obviously, you know, Luke Shuey's still out of the team. Plus, they've lost this week. Josh Kennedy, Oscar Allan. So a lot relying on, you know, we need some smart coaching on Jack Darling. We don't have a matchup, I don't feel, for Liam Ryan. Tim Kelly out as well this week. They've got a
I've got the list here, John, if you want
out of their side. It's their big outs. One of the interesting ins, so the ins, Harry Edwards, Luke Foley, Xavier O'Neill, Zach Langdon. Yeah, we know about Zach Langdon and young Harry Edwards. He's a developing player. But Luke Edwards. Can anyone tell me who the son of Luke Edwards is? He's a champion player from Adelaide, Tyson Edwards. So Luke Edwards is the son of Tyson Edwards, highly talented draft pick. He's playing his first game. So they're bringing in a first game or a couple of developing players. They're not replacing these champion superstars with like for likes. They come over to give these guys experience. I think the Eagles have come over not expecting to win. So if we don't win, holy shit, there could be a dump truck of cow manure on the door of Icon Park, just like Richmond did about 10 years ago.
Can I quickly?
You know what? It might bloody take something like that to happen at the club to shake things up. I see Vincenzo's got his finger up. Not for the first time. Can I quickly
just rattle off the list of players that are injured for West Coast? Get a load of this. Tim Kelly, Oscar Allan, Luke Shuey, Josh Kennedy, Daniel Venables, Jeremy McGovern, Alex Witherden.
Hacks.
and Mark
Hacks.
Hutchings and Jared Cameron and Brendan Archie and, of course, Willie Rioli's not available. I mean, that is almost 2/3 of his team.
I'm telling you, this is almost a danger game, man. It's almost like set up for us to lose, man. Like we
It's like
could.
that Hawthorn game. It's like that Hawthorn game, Rocco. If we lose it, we've got a lot more to lose than we have to gain by winning. Really?
Yeah, we've got to be careful in that we don't go in with the mindset that because of those players are out, we don't have to do what we've got to do 100% at the ball. Run, tackle. If we think, oh, there's the number 9. If we think that we can just get away with just playing half a game because they got all those injuries, man, I'm telling you, we're going to be in trouble. So we've got to go in like all those players are in there. That should be our attitude.
Look at that fantastic print
He just texted me,
in
Rocco,
the background there.
Put me poster up, he said, Kenny.
I love it. Look at that.
Hey, let's just have a look at that, guys.
Yeah,
and reflect on the number 9, the greatest number 9 to have played for the club. Patrick Cripps will probably overtake that mantle by the time he's done, and you'll have had the 2 greatest number 9s to play for Carlton come over from the Red Dirt Junction from WA. Just fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. And I played footy with Kenny's brother Dave, and I can tell you what Kenny's achievements meant to his family and the joy they got out of it and everything else. It's spine-tingling stuff. I love the man.
John,
what I love about that print is the lovely hairstyle on the great man Kenny Hunter, and these days he seems to have a hairstyle that's modelled on Rocco.
Hey, mate.
It's done by a
don't worry,
graphic
Rock.
designer, boys.
I'm starting to get that way too, mate.
It's done by a
This is by necessity, not by choice.
Yeah, it's done by a graphic designer, boys, and he's done a lot of the Carlton players. And as you can see there, it's got Kenny's complete football history on it, and he's actually etched the print of Ken. It's made on very, very high quality paper, and Kenny signed this for me and sent it over. And again, that's what I was talking about before, John, that these guys were really helping me out, and that's why I'm so grateful for some of the Carlton boys that they've really gone out of their way. And these are for sale, guys, and they're looking at around about 250, but they're in A2 size, John. So the print, the jumper behind you, I think that's about an A2 size. So it's that big. I've got some of myself with a couple of marks, and as well the chap has done for me, and that's something that the Blue supporters in WA don't get much to have a look at. So
how much are they going for, Buzz? How much are they going for?
About 250.
250 bucks each for that.
Yeah,
and then signed by Kenny.
So to put that into a little bit of perspective, especially if there's anyone from sporting groups and clubs out there that might be watching, 250 bucks for something like that at an auction. You can get 500, 750. I've seen these things go pretty crazy.
That's dirt cheap for that.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you happen to miss out on any of the ones that Buzz has got, you can contact me because I've got another 1,000 of them in my backyard, and I'll sell them to you for 50 bucks each.
You cheeky blighter.
He's cutting your grass.
Where can we get them? Where can we get them, Buzz? Where can we get them?
Well, you can go through myself. John's got my Facebook information there. So if anyone wants to, to Facebook Johnny, and Johnny can Facebook me. And John's always been in the fight for me, which is fantastic. And now I've got a very, very good friend in Rocco, and
yes, that's
I love the bloke with the hat. I love the bloke with the hat on because he's always in the fight for me as well. So
that's it.
It's so good to to have people like that. And my wife's yelling out, "Vince, give you a big kiss," but I'm not going to do that. You know what?
Yes, the beautiful Shelley.
Yes, yeah. Yes, you just
Oh,
yelled
I've
out.
got Adam Shaw's has said, sorry, his phone bugged out, but I enjoyed being part of it. Adam Shaw from Tucson, Arizona. He was a legend. And one here from Brian McMahon. Bring back the buzz. Bring it back, he says.
Now, Brian
Brian, he's a great
Brian
Carlton
McMahon.
supporter for goodness knows. He's been a Carlton man and around the club for probably 50-odd years. He's been terrific.
Well, he was the one that signed myself, Ken Hunter, Alan Montgomery, Vale Allen, of course. Alan passed away a couple of weeks ago, boys. I don't know whether you know, but he probably did. Blokes like Rhett Baines was another one, and, Doc Aitken and Peter Satori and these sort of guys. And Brian has just been an absolute, stalwart for the Carlton Blues. And a lot of people don't know this story, Rocco, that, when I actually... have I got time to tell a minute story, John?
Yeah, we've got all day.
We're already 1 hour over time.
Well, what happened was, the Carlton were notorious, as we quite well know, for not performing in practice matches. And when I come across in 1981, the story went where our last game, Rocco, was at Lathblane Park, where it was my home ground. And I happened to play on Kenny Hunter that day. Now, we both were going to Carlton, of course, and the crowd were going about 3,000 people. Good on you, Buzz. Good on you, Kenny. Good luck for next year at the Mighty Blues, And I thought, oh, that's good, And I kicked 85 goals that year, Rocco, and went to the Sandover Medals, the red hot favourite. Went in there with the chest pumped out and all that sort of thing. 5 friggin' votes I polled. Walked out of the room, kicked tins over, kicked chairs over, kicked tables over. 3 weeks later, I was the red hot favourite for the Perth medal. Polled 7 votes. So I got up on stage and I'm saying, I'm definitely now going to the Mighty Blues. 3 weeks later, the great man David Parkin rang. He rang Kenny Hunter first. He said, Kenny, this is David Parkin. I've taken over the coach of the Mighty Blues. I want you to come over early and get used to the history and tradition and the culture of this great club. And I want to put you on a half-back line. Wait for it, boys. The Flying Doormat, Val Perovic, and Kenny Hunter. Wow. And Kenny said, Coach, I'll be over there in the next week. I'm just getting things organised, da-da-da. A week later, he rang me, Peter, David Parkin, just taken over the coaching of the Mighty Blues from Percy. Look, I want you to come over early and get used to the tradition, history, etc. And I want to try you on a half-forward line, as I mentioned before, the Dominator, McClure, and yourself. And I thought, Dave, look, I don't have to come over too early because I'm that good. I can just fit straight in and I'll just do the thing for you. Now, he believed me there, and he let me come over about the 24th of February, boys. The first game, of course, of the practice matches. The 3 practice matches we played, we got thrashed in, Vince. You remember those days, Vince?
Yes.
We just got slaughtered in, And
then he'd come out in round one, and absolutely belt the opposition.
And round 1, of course, come out there, 77,000 people. I've gone out with Rocco legs, real shaky legs, Got to about the 20-minute mark, and the white bloke come across, which was the runner. He said, "You big-headed so-and-so from Western Australia. You've shot your mouth off and told everyone how good you are and how high you could fly." And I said, I can't breathe. I can't move. And with that, Parkin sent him back and said, look, squat down, take 3 deep breaths, settle down, go on like that. And Vince knows the story. I had 15, 20 possessions the next 3 quarters. We won by 10 goals. I actually won the player of the round, and just an absolute star for David Parkin. Knows his players absolutely one-on-one. A great team manager, a great strategist, and what a situation there. Now the story goes back to the 3 games. Of course, I played. I was very, very good in those 3 scratch matches, and Carlton hadn't got the clearance yet, Vince. On the Friday night, Brian McMahon had to go and get the signature from Perth and fly in on the red eye on the Saturday morning and deliver the clearance to VFL House on the Saturday morning, or I wouldn't have been able to play.
So that you could play.
Yeah. True story. So
Brian McMahon, before we go...
By the way, Johnny,
no,
just one last thing I just want to remind everyone. For all those people that have booked in to go to the Peter Bosustow roast on the 23rd of July, the night starts at 7 o'clock on that particular Friday night. and it'll finish at about 11 p.m. on the Sunday.
Yeah.
After we hear Peter tell all of his stories, okay?
I won't be. No, they'll be roasting me. I won't be there. I'm just very worried about parking and bloody Hunter and Spinahan and Vince Locke.
Just make sure you don't get on it with Jono afterwards, or it will be a 3-day trip. But
I haven't mentioned my toughest opponent yet, my wife.
Now, I did want to ask you quickly, Buzz, the year you were ripped off, because I don't remember. I know me WA footy pretty well, but I don't remember who won the Sandover in the Perth Ferris and Best. I'm just curious. I love the names.
I think that was Stephen Michael's year.
Oh.
That's the chap that should have.
What a shame the Vics never saw him.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Well, when Hunter and I come, we were talking about Peake and Michael, who were the two gun players in West Australia, Vince at the time. And I said to people then, you think that Hunter and I are okay. You wait till you see these two,
Oh,
but Peake come too late, I think, and
he went to Geelong.
I didn't come. Yeah.
And what about the Perth Ferris and Best that year?
The Perth Ferris and Best that year would have gone, I think, to a bloke called Mark Watson, I think. So,
yep.
Look, they just fill the stories, those sort of things, John. It doesn't worry me because, the thing that I were gunning for was premierships with the Mighty Blues. I spoke to a lot of coder groups, as you know, boys, and one of the things I love telling people about that the only thing that I wanted to do was to wear that CFC jumper. It was the proudest moment of my life, and as Vince knows, my father wore it as well before me.
Yeah,
a lot of
Barry
people don't know that,
Barry Bosustow, 66 games.
Here we
That's
go.
right.
Greg Whitaker's just popped up there. Message me, John. I'll take one of the Hunter prints. So there you go.
Okay.
We've got, good on you, Greg. I'll
on you,
message
Greg.
you after the show, and we'll get those wheels in motion. Good on you, mate.
I'll get that. Express post to him, John. If you can get his details, and then we'll work out the payment situation. And that's the first one. That's been. Thanks very much, John. And if you want one of mine too, I might slip one in there for a little bit cheaper. About $9.99, my goes for. If you've got 1,000 on a Vince, you're a rich man. That's called Buzzcoin, not Bitcoin.
Vince has got all the money. I'm a double divorcee, mate. I'm on the breadlines here. All right, guys. We have gone over 2 hours now. We've gone a little bit over our overtime for our 1 hour show, but you know what? This happens a lot because we get great people that are willing to give us their time. We've had Kenny Hunter today and Peter Bosustow. What a special show. Our friend from Arizona who hung in there nearly the whole show. And all the other international guests that popped in and said good day. All Blues family. It means the world. Pete, thank you very much. And if there's anything else we can do, mate, please let us know. We're happy to help. And, we'll try and get some more people at the function and get some more prints coming out the door there.
Thank you very much, boys. Absolute pleasure to be on, and really enjoyed it because that's what it's all about, talking about the old days in entertainment terms. And, we Blues supporters, we need some real, some winning formula, don't we? And no, anytime, Rocco, I'm expecting a phone call from you in the next week or so. I'm going to ratings for yours well.
Not only I'm going to buy a print. I'm going to buy a print.
Well, okay.
Nice.
I'm buying a print.
Now, quick before we go, guys. Quick
prediction.
Quick prediction. One liner each. I'll get the ball rolling. Carlton by 23 points today.
Just before I give my prediction, I just want to make it clear that all of those signatures on those prints are authentic, and they'll all come with a certificate of authenticity. And I can say that with authority because I practiced those signatures for 6 months.
Nice work, kids.
Well, we've had number 4. We've had the famous number 4 and the famous number 9 on the same show. I'll multiply them together. 4 9s are 36. So Carlton by 36 points. Like I said before, Carlton have to win by 6 goals.
I'm back on board, mate. We've got the new sponsor, the Great Southern Bank. So we're gonna fly. This is like an 86-point win to the Blues. Go, boys!
86-point win.
Oh,
When was the last
my
time we
God.
won a game by 86 points, Rocco?
In 1995.
Well. Surprise, surprise. Looks like Rocco's cracked out old grandpa's cough medicine there by 86 points.
Good
Buzz,
to see
what's
you,
your
Buzz.
prediction, mate?
Cheers, boys. Thanks very much again, and hope the viewers were entertained and liked it a lot. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate. Thanks for coming on. Vince, Rocco, everyone else that joined in today. It's been a great show. It's been a lot of fun. And we'll all be waiting with bated breath for tomorrow for this big 86-point win, Rocco. So go the Mighty Blues.
See you guys.
Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Thank you, guys.